Good evening. Thursday night, just past 9 o'clock on a lovely autumnal evening here in the United Kingdom. Joining me is Ed, and just before we get into show, Nathan will be joining us. He's just a little bit late. He's just watching England take Wales apart for fun. That's what it truly is. But in a week where the Colts have rooted another opponent out of the NFL, and the Jaguars upset the Chiefs. Lots of interesting stuff going on. The NFL proved once again that as long as you can afford to pay the fine, you can commit the crime by beating up on your players. Yes, Jonathan Gannon has not been sacked because why? He can afford not to be. But I'm sure we'll get into that a bit later on. Ed, welcome back. How's it going?
Yeah, good man. Really good. Yeah, I think you should tell everyone what you were just saying off air about the about England playing Wales. Is it a bigger beatdown?
What's a bigger route in the Colts versus the Raiders or England versus Wales?
Bearing in mind England Wales go, so there's about half an hour to go. So we'll get the digs in before Nathan comes. But yeah, mate, no, really good. Good win for the Colts. Great win for the Colts, in fact. The mad thing about that game that's still crazy is we didn't score in the first quarter. We then scored 20 points, and then no points. We just literally just put our foot down, battered them, and then put all of our sort of reserve players out for the last quarter. It was just unbelievable. I know we were talking a bit off air about, the narrative seems to be switching a little bit now about who you've played, blah blah blah. But we're only playing who we're playing, and we're beating them up. I mean,
yeah.
What was it you were just saying about the points? Like, do you know what I mean?
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, we can only beat what's in front of us, mate. And I think we're doing a great job at the moment, to be honest with you.
And joining us now because he's finally decided he's had enough of England's beatdown of Wales. Is Nathan giving up?
I can't believe you'd open with that. I thought we were friends, man.
All's fair in love and war, Nate.
I haven't even been watching it. I was way too scared. I was saying to my old man earlier that I thought it was going to be 6-0. Are you there yet?
I mean, I'll be honest with you, I kind of feel a little bit like the Colts and the Raiders game. It feels a bit like if we could be bothered, yes, we could win 6-0, but it kind of feels like we're probably going to make a lot of subs, and we'll see. It is a little bit one-sided. I don't mean to kind of pile on, mate, but this isn't the Wales team of sort of 6, 7, 8 years ago, is it?
No, exactly. Anyway, let's move on from England winning anything, in fact.
So, Ed, you weren't with us on Monday because you was busy. I think you was just busy rewatching the highlights of Everton and the Colts. But your initial headline feelings, points to take from the Colts Raiders?
I think it was a good performance, a professional performance. We done what needed to be done. We beat a really bad team, and we beat them pretty much on all sides of the ball, didn't we? Offense was outstanding, defense was good again, and special teams were brilliant as well. I loved watching back today. I don't know if either of you have seen it, the mic'd up Shane Steichen sort of clips they've put out, which is good fun. A lot of yes sirs in there, which I thought was quite nice. But yeah, I just thought it was a very comprehensive performance. I sent you my play of the day, I think, for Monday, which you read out, which was Anthony Richardson's unbelievable 9-yard passing completion to himself, which was just spectacular and kind of summed him up. My other kind of highlights, I thought Latu had a good game. And the mad stat, and I can't remember if you mentioned this on Monday. I did watch it back, but I can't remember if you mentioned it on Monday. But the mad stat with him is he's now got more interceptions than he has sacks for the year, which is just incredible, isn't it, for a defensive end? So yeah, I thought he was good. And then just in general, the offense was just great. Ashton Doolan came in. I thought he had a great game, and I liked the way that again the ball got spread around with our receivers. Josh Downs 6 targets. Pittman had 5, Tyler Warren had 4. I don't know how many Ashton Doolin had because I haven't written it down. But, you know, it was just good to see the ball getting moved around. And obviously, Jonathan Taylor is just, I mean, Jonathan Taylor is playing at an MVP level, isn't he? The question is going to be, can he sustain it for the whole year? I think if he sustains it for the whole year, I think this Colts team will go further than maybe I was. And you know, my absolute sort of ambition for this year was win the division, get in the playoffs, and probably get beaten by a Baltimore, which looks really silly now, or you know, like a Buffalo or Kansas, or even Cincinnati. You know, one of the so-called, I don't want to use the words Big Four because that sounds very Sky Sportsy, but you know what I mean, one of the sort of AFC powerhouse teams. But I think if Jonathan Taylor keeps playing the way he's playing, the offense plays the way it's playing, this is a team that could cause a few upsets. I suppose the only kind of annoying thing is those pesky Jags keep winning as well. But we shall see.
I don't know if anyone saw as well, but I thought it was really powerful. Braden Smith did an interview about the level of play, and he kind of maybe misquoting it, but he said we're all just fed up of being mediocre. So this year is very different. And I was like, okay, so the players feel that as well, you know, not just us as fans. And, you know, because we see so much of like the PR machine, don't we, and the media machine that is, you know, American sport and interviews. So it was just really refreshing to see a player kind of say that and just allude to the fact that it maybe feels like everybody's taking it a little bit more seriously this year. That's the only way I can describe it.
Yeah. Before we get into it, just for the people watching who might be new or listening to this, somehow stumbled across us, and we are your first exploitation into the NFL. We are Southbound, four Colts fans to actually say, who cover the league in the best way possible, mainly because we thought the Colts would be mediocre and bad this year again. So we thought it'd be more fun to cover the full league. Monday night show is at the same time, but that's a quick reaction and roundup show where we take away the biggest and best highlights of the weekend. And Thursday night tonight, we actually dig into the AFC South just a little bit more because, as Ed alluded to, it is the hottest division going. The Colts 4-1, the Jags 4-1. The Titans beat the Cardinals, that powerhouse of a team, and the Texans won. All the AFC South teams won. Go on, Ed.
Can I just say that that's the first time that all the teams in the AFC South have won on the same weekend?
How insane is that?
Yeah. It's the first time they've all won on the same weekend. The division's been set since, 2002? Is that when the Texans joined the league?
It would have been when it changed from the Central, isn't it?
Yeah. It's the first time. The powerhouse that is.
That's how strong it is.
The AFC is upside down at the moment.
And nobody quite work it out. So let's kick off tonight's show then with the Colts 40, the Raiders 6, and I am fuming because I believe I predicted on the show previous to that the Colts 40, the Raiders 3.
Wow.
That would have been our Thursday night show. I'm sure I said 43. I'll have to go back and check, but
I think you did.
I said it quite glibbous. Glibbous is not a real word, Harrison. I said it quite glib and in jest, but boys, that I think, like I was saying to Nathan on Monday, for me as a fan who joined about 2012, this is the most complete Colts team I've seen play. And I think the best way to probably expand on that with keeping it short at the same time is Andrew Luck used to win in spite of the Colts, whereas this feels like a team that is winning together. Go on, Nathan.
No, completely. And obviously we alluded to it on Monday. So I won't spend too much time on it. But I think what's really interesting is the rumour mill has ramped up right now because the Colts have restructured Kenny Moore, cornerback Kenny Moore, contract, and it's created 3.5 mil of cap space, which doesn't sound like too much. But, I think it's very easy to connect the dots here. Kwity Paye, one of our edge rushers, as well as Samson Ebukam, one of our other edge rushers, are in contract years. So, could we see Trey Hendrickson coming in?
Breaking, you heard it here first on Southbound.
And then I guess my question to you boys, because I've kind of written this question down, is if you, I think maybe Ed will tell us in a moment if he thinks this is the most complete team he's seen in, multiple years, but I think that the two obvious kind of options are Trey Hendrickson and maybe like Denzel Ward or something from Cleveland Browns. I've seen that rumour mill. If you could pick one, who would you pick and why? So obviously Trey's the edge rush and Denzel Ward's the cornerback.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, go for it.
I would go for an edge rusher over a cornerback, purely because I know our I know that room has been absolutely decimated with injuries and retirements and more injuries and then signings getting injured. It seems to be non-stop at the moment. But I think the future of that room is probably in a better place than defensive end, because we have got a certain Mr. Justin Wally who should be back. We haven't forgotten about you, Justin. We haven't forgotten about you. But no, in all seriousness, I think pass rush is more of a game changer for us right now. Whether it's Trey Hendrickson or not, I have my doubts around Trey Hendrickson, and I will kind of explain why in a second. But I think if the Colts are moving into this, let's actually push our chips into the middle of the table, and we're going for it this year, I think pass rush is probably the way I would go, because I think a defensive line of Latu, Buckner, Grove, and another superstar pass rusher, I think you're probably looking at one of the best defensive lines in all of the AFC. And that's not being sort of like hot takey or so. I just think that legitimately, not even with my Colts hat on, you look at that and think, I mean, even without another elite pass rush, I think our defensive line is very good as it is. So you stick a superstar in there, and it straight away puts the Colts in sort of win now territory. My kind of hang-ups on Trey, nothing about him as a player. I think as a player, he comes in straight away and he basically propels us into the conversation the same way potentially Micah Parsons did with the Green Bay Packers. I genuinely believe that. I just wonder what it would cost to get him out of Cincinnati, because although the Bengals aren't having a great year, they are still second in their division, because the Ravens have completely fallen apart.
Yeah.
The Browns are the Browns. And Pittsburgh don't look like a team that are going to run away with that division. I think that the Bengals are only a game back on Pittsburgh. They've just obviously moved for Joe Flacco, which is
insane,
bizarre to say the least. I mean, I can't see how Joe Flacco is going to stay upright behind that offensive line. Like, he's the most immobile quarterback ever. But that's not, to me, what the point I'm trying to make is, I wonder if they've brought Joe Flacco in to try and as a bridge for Joe Burrow should be back sort of mid-December, they're saying. If they can stay in contention, and they think Flacco can keep them in contention in the AFC North until Burrow comes back, I don't think they'd be willing to trade Trey Hendrickson, is the point I'm really slowly getting towards. Or what's the cost going to be? Do you know what I mean? I think in a couple of weeks, if Flacco comes in and they go like, what, they 2-3, in a couple of weeks they're like 2-5, or 3-6, maybe a couple of weeks further down the line. When's trade deadline? 4th of November?
Yeah, but roughly, yeah. Just before we go to Berlin, wasn't it?
Right. Yeah. So that's what, game week 9, 10?
Yeah, week 9.
Yeah, so if they're in a losing position then yeah, I think it happens. But I think that I don't think they've given up on this season enough yet. I think Ward from Cleveland, ironically, would be a more attainable target, because I think Cleveland will be looking to try and get as much assets as possible for next. They've already got 2 firsts in next year's draft. I think they'd be more interested in looking at building for the future. So I would say pass rush, definitely Trey Hendrickson. I'm not sure how attainable he's going to be. That's my very long answer. Sorry, Harrison, you're going.
It's a good answer.
It's all right. Yeah. I'll play devil's advocate then and go for Ward, and I'll try and sell it a bit. But before I do you think when the Bengals rang up the Browns and said, we want to trade for Joe Flacco, do you think the people in Cleveland's building went, what? Yeah, okay, yeah. What is it? An envelope? Yeah, that'll do.
Yeah, I think Kevin Stefanski said it came out of the blue a little bit.
Came out of the blue. Yeah, you gone out of the blue, mate. It's in a bit. Like,
yeah.
It's being completely real, just before you jump in, Nathan, his time at the Colts was tragic. And his time at the Browns is tragic. Like it's that famous leave the football before it leaves you. Like, Mike Hilton. Sorry, not Mike Hilton. Was it Mike Hilton who retired?
No, Xavier Howard.
Xavier Howard, that's it. Sorry, it's such a revolving door at the minute.
Yeah.
Xavier Howard's, father time comes for everyone, and he said, that's it for me. Joe Flacco, he's like that guy out of Adam Sandler's Longest Yard. But, yeah, anyway, go on, Nathan, sorry.
I was just going to say, I find the Flacco trade pretty fascinating, but I do think there's method behind it. I think the line is so bad that they need a QB who can get the ball out in sub-3, and Flacco can definitely do that. I think this is more a picture on Zach Taylor's play calling ability, when you can't just launch it to Jamar most of the time. However, I find it fascinating that Shedeur Sanders is still 3 on the depth chart. They've evaluated Bailey Zappi from their practice squad, and he's currently sitting as 2nd on the depth chart. Shedeur needs to get out of Cleveland. He needs to leave as fast as he can because, it's already a mess and we're on week 5, that guy needs to get out of Cleveland. They're clearly not interested in him.
No.
Crazy that it's happening. But anyway, so Ward, can I just is the pitch as simple as a cornerback room of Denzel Ward, Stravius Ward, Kenny Moore? Is it just as simple as that? Like, you've got the best. Kenny in this form he's playing in this year is the Kenny of old, which is the best nickel in the league, and I will stand by that. Javius Ward has been brilliant since he's come in, and add Denzel Ward to that, who we know his talent. You're not going to be throwing against that team, or you're not going to throw deep anyway. But so was there anything that stood out from the game for you two?
Yeah, there's a few things. Obviously, again, I don't want to cover too much that sort of we've already discussed. I think, Quentin Nelson's ability in the run game is just ridiculous. I think Hall of Fame trajectory guaranteed. Enough said. Before the season started, or just on the cusp of the season, remember Denver Dave, who we had on a couple of weeks back?
Yeah.
Messaged me to say Daniel Jones, and I think he said it on our show, that his spicy hot take on his podcast was that Daniel Jones would throw for 4,000 passing yards.
Yeah.
And I remember just thinking, like no chance, not in a million years. What are you talking about? I know you're high on the Colts this year, mate, but come on, let's be real. He's on 1,290 already for the year, Daniel Jones. That doesn't look quite as ridiculous as I thought. I'd take that away. I thought Daniel Jones was excellent again.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think there's two like sort of stats that sum up this game for me, and that I feel good to highlight. Max Crosby against the Colts, like his entire career. Do you want to guess his stats? 4 tackles for a loss and 1 sack.
Really?
I will say though, there was a play call that I saw in highlights where Shane put 3 blockers on Max Crosby. Yeah. He got double teamed, and then Warren flipped around and chipped him again. So we clearly take care of Max Crosby.
Yeah. I think our tight ends did a fantastic job of that. I'm really impressed. And the other one was, we all know the 6 for 6 in red zone this weekend, but also on defense 4 for 4 in red zone. That you do that every week, you're gonna win games. That is. So when we talk about like complete and competent, for me, that is the perfect example of. I think after the Rams game, I said Shane Steichen was my villain. But after this game, he held people accountable to the same consistent level he's held with everyone else. Excellent. And he took apart Pete Carroll and the Raiders. Took them apart and said, you know, you may be a bad team, but we're going to remind you and remind all your fans that you are a terrible team. It helped that they were missing their pound lad Tyler Warren, you know, and they were missing a few pieces, but so are we. We're missing Alec Pierce, missing Kenny Moore and Gonzalez. And I think it's also important to say, because I think when we said Alec Pierce was out for the game, I think we all sort of thought, oh, well, AD Mitchell get back in. I think it was very important and very structural of Shane to say, no, it doesn't work like that, mate. You blew your chance. You've got to earn it back now. But yeah,
didn't he? I was just say, interesting. He came on in the 4th quarter and then run the wrong route, didn't he? Like there was an instant with him, and
Ed gone for you there too, Harrison.
Yeah, you're
a little bit
in and out there, Ed.
Frustrating.
He's just frozen.
Yeah.
We'll. I think we'll try and get Ed back. Well,
I don't know what happened there.
You kind of froze in a wonderful pause, mate.
Did I? I look forward,
actually.
I look forward to seeing that back.
You literally crashed straight as soon as you said AD Mitchell, you crashed. So he's obviously watching in the audience tonight.
Yeah, real.
Yeah, I thought he was clearly not down the pecking order, which is right. You cost us the game against the Rams, which is very hard to say, but it was true. And it's right. Before we move on to the other teams in the AFC South, because we could talk about the Colts all day, let's be honest. To everyone watching, thank you. Join in. Let us know what you think about the Week 5 results and why I will be correct in my predictions for this weekend. So let's move on to, I suppose, the big talking point or the big blunder was the Cardinals giving up a 21-point lead versus Brian Callahan's Titans. This game, if you're a neutral and you want to watch this game, or if you're a Titans fan and you watch this game, this is the best game of your life to watch because it is phenomenally unscripted, if that is the correct word. With the Cardinals fumbling their own interception over the line straight to it. Was it whose wide receiver was it? I know it's the Titans wide receiver.
Tyler Lockett is the guy who scored the touchdown.
Yeah. I knew the name rang a bell. And Nathan, you can say the guy's name because you said it perfectly on Monday.
Eric DiMarcado.
That guy decided to fumble the ball before the touchdown line. Doesn't feel right. On the 1 yard line. And his coach then proceeded to punch him and didn't get fired. But hey ho. So who wants to start with this blockbuster of a game?
Go on, you Ed. I shared some minor thoughts on this on Monday, so I'm interested to get your take.
I just think a complete and utter clusterfuck of a football game, to be honest with you. Like, I just think you've got an average team in the Cardinals, who I was quite high on going into the year, which I feel like an idiot now for airing that, against an appallingly bad team. And I will say they're still an appallingly bad team.
Yeah.
And somehow contriving to lose to them, despite being, what was it, 20 to 3 or 21 to 3?
Something like that.
But not only was it into the fourth quarter, I think there was like 10 minutes of the game left as well. It wasn't even like it was the start of the fourth quarter. They were deep into the fourth quarter. Look, I think it's been said, when he dropped the ball going over the goal line like that, that just ruined the Cards. It was like us with the Jonathan Taylor drop last year. You know, there's certain things in games you just don't come back from, do you? And that's one of them. The fumble return touchdown nonsense. I mean, that was just Benny Hill music at the ready, wasn't it? I mean, that's
it really
just
was.
It was just. I remember I watched it the next day. I was just like, "What has what has just happened?" Like, honestly, that's just two really bad football teams. I'm unsure on the Cardinals where they go from here. I don't think Kyler Murray's trained this week, from what I've read. It looks like we could be playing Jacoby Brissett, which would be interesting.
Yeah, Murray missed practice today too. So
yeah, so I don't know how I feel about that, because there's always But anyway, the Cardinals, they lost Connors, didn't they? The running back, to that really nasty injury. Their run game's now non-existent. It seems to me that it's Trey McBride or bust. Marvin Harrison Jr., he made a brilliant catch. I think we messaged about it in our group chat, didn't we, on Sunday? It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
But he's still not, to me, this sounds really harsh, but I don't think he's quite the player that, maybe it was because the expectation was so high on him coming into the league. But, you know, the words plug and play must have been said about 1 million times with him, and he hasn't quite reached that level yet. He'll go off for about 300 yards on Sunday. Now, I've said this in Indianapolis as well. Of course, it'll be Indianapolis. Exactly that. Yeah, exactly that. This will be his breakout game. Yeah. But I can't quite work out the Cards. Like I say, they lost a game that was unlosable. Yeah. And as Colts fans, we kind of know that feeling. And I think that now for them, trying to get your momentum back after that is going to be very difficult, because not only did they lose an unlosable game, it's not like they lost to a team of similar stature. They lost to the Tennessee Titans. And I'm not just saying this as a Colts fan, but they are a horrendously bad football team. Yeah. How Brian Callahan is still in his job. I don't want people to lose their jobs, not what I'm saying, but some of his play calling is horrendous. Yeah. Did you see when Kyler Murray ran in? I think it was the second touchdown. They cut to the sideline, and he was just sort of stood on the pitch like, "What the hell? Like, what the hell?"
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, that's your defense, man. That's your job. Like, what are you calling? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, so how the Cardinals have lost that game? They must be sick. And side note, I watched the show back on Monday. Agree with everything Nathan said about Jonathan Gannon. You cannot, under any circumstances, I don't care how much you want to act like a macho man, you cannot, under any circumstances, strike your own players. What kind of example are you setting? This is a sport watched around the world. You cannot put your hands on your players. That is totally unacceptable in any shape or form, as far as I'm concerned. And that's my final kind of saying on that.
And it's just never been acceptable.
No, it hasn't. No, I know. I think, the point I'm saying is just, football is, people say it's a macho sport, and, emotions run high. I get all of that. I don't take the argument on emotions, though. You're professional sports people. Yeah. The reason that you're professional is you're supposed to be able to control your emotions to a certain extent and channel it in the right way. And that is totally unacceptable, what you did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we talked about it a bit on Monday, because obviously it's a game that impacts us, being the Titans and the Cardinals coming up next. If anyone is interested, Jack Doyle will be in attendance at Lucas Oil Stadium this Sunday with his friend Jacoby Brissett. He said it. He said it on his podcast he does with the Colts that he's going to see his good friend Jacoby.
Just before you move it on, two quick points. Weirdly, one of my most famed memories of Jacoby in a Colts jersey was a moment that caused me, and I'm sure many others, complete heartbreak. I'm going to mention the play, and I'm going to see if you boys remember this feeling. So the Colts were like 3rd and something, and we needed a long throw to stay in the game. And Frank Reich called a timeout. And I was thinking, obviously he didn't like the look, and, Andrew's going to change the throw. And then he subbed Brissett in to make the long throw because they believed that Andrew wasn't going to be able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that frightened me. I remember my phone lighting up, everyone going, Luck's finished. And I was like, shit, Luck's finished. And then obviously he was. Jacoby did make an absolute rainbow throw that day as well. So shout out Jacoby. But also on the topic of Marvin Harrison, I feel like when there's a coaching change in Arizona, whenever that may be, I don't see how Gannon survives another year like this. I think Harrison's game will go up. You look at other kind of first year, second year plays in the league. I think Roma Dunze is a good example this year. Mm-hmm. In his rookie year, he kind of didn't set the league on fire like many people thought he would. This year, they're targeting him constantly. He's kind of like their biggest target share. He's kind of Caleb's go-to guy. I just don't see, I always keep an eye on MHJ. I kind of want him to succeed. I think all Colts fans want him to succeed, and they just don't look his way enough. But yeah, that's my thought. I actually agree, Ed. I think if any player in a Cardinals jersey is going to go off on Sunday, I don't think it's Trey McBride. I think it'll be number 88. Mm-hmm. No, 18, isn't he? Number 18.
Yeah, he's 18, yeah. What do you think, though? What do you think about Kyler and the Cards? Because I think this is I believe this is his last year under contract. Do you think they potentially go their separate ways at the end of this
100%.
year?
Yeah, 100%.
And he goes straight to a nail.
Yeah, no. I am terrified of that.
You did say that pre-season, I remember.
Yeah, I'm terrified of it.
We were all terrified of Daniel Jones as well, just saying.
True.
but
yeah.
Kyler, for me, he's still playing like he's playing with his mates, which is it's fun for the spectator and fun for the neutral. But if you asked Indianapolis fans now, would they rather have the quarterback who can pass it to himself and get 9 yards and throw it 50 yards with his eyes closed behind his back? Or would you rather have the quarterback who does his reads, takes what he's given and can sling it in there? It's hindsight and it's optics, I suppose. But moving on, the Houston Texans... they are currently 3rd in the AFC South, and let me find what game was it. Yeah, so they're finding obviously a bit of form after beating the Titans 26-0. Cardinals, that's who you lost to. But they just obliterated the when my computer
Ravens, right?
Yeah,
they beat the Ravens, didn't they? They destroyed them.
Yeah. Annoyingly.
44-10. Now,
that's a beatdown, by the way.
I can give you the injuries excuse, right? Because I don't like using the word excuse there. I really don't, because injuries can happen to anyone at any time, and it can derail a team. But 44-10, that for me is that's unacceptable from the Ravens, and not just because it was against the Texans, but you can't turn around and say, well, we didn't have Lamar. Like, yeah.
No, I mean, I think the Ravens are missing a lot, aren't they? I think there's that mad stat doing the Browns have got like $160 million worth of talent on the sort of sick bed at the moment. But, look, the NFL's always been next man up, hasn't it? And as much as we sit there and gripe that people are saying, the Colts have only beaten bad team, blah, blah, we can't use that. The Texans beat a good football team in Baltimore pretty convincingly. And CJ Stroud, I think, had his best game of the year.
And I think one kind of stat that I had my eyes open to earlier on today, no Texans know it all, but Dan Orlovsky, one of our favourites, was talking about them. Their defense is averaging 12 points a game this season. That is sneaky good. And we have to play them twice in the next 5 or 6 weeks, I think.
It's backloaded, isn't it? Yeah, I think. Yeah.
We play them twice in 3 games, so that'll be a really interesting spectacle, not just for the division, but for this offense too. I think the Texans' defense is like, no one's really talking about it that much, because obviously they're talking about the offense so much and the kind of struggles it's had. But 12 points a game, that's kind of scary.
Yeah, it's also expect though, isn't it, with D'Amico? I mean, he's a defensive-minded guy, player, and coach. The names are there, aren't they? I mean, they've got all the names, but it's one thing having the names; it's another thing performing. I think you're absolutely right, Nathan. I think the spotlight's been on CJ Stroud ever since that sort of his rookie year when he came in and lit the league up. That people forget about the rest of that roster, and it is, you could argue they have underperformed so far this year.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
I would agree. Yeah,
I think a lot of people would have had them winning the division.
Oh, without doubt. I think
it's still early, but a lot of people would have had them winning, at least being there. I mean, the Texans, I don't want to say that win was nothing, because when you blow anyone out in the NFL, fantastic job, especially on the road. That's hard to do. But I think maybe like the Ravens, the Bengals, fans might be looking and going, well, the Colts had injuries and they went and got Hilton, they went and got Ward, they went and got Bynum. They had another injury, they got Howard, it didn't work out, they got someone else. That proactive approach to we're not having injuries affect us like it did last year. And, they might not look at the Colts, they might have no interest in it, but they might look at a team like that and go, well, why haven't you gone and traded for Joe Flacco?
I will just finish on the my AFC Champions prediction is looking absolutely dead in the water right now. I was so high on the Baltimore Ravens coming into this year. I will own that one. I will own that one straight away. The Ravens have completely fallen flat on their face, haven't they? Injuries haven't helped, but yeah.
On to the last team in the AFC South then, before we preview the Indianapolis Colts versus the Arizona Cardinals in Indianapolis. The last team, Lee and Cohen, and then pesky Jaguars. I was surprised by this. I think this is an upset. Beat the Kansas City Chiefs by what was it, 31-28? Something like that.
Let's double check.
31-28. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And if you thought the Cardinals' interception, fumble, touchdown was hysterical, Trevor Lawrence falling on the floor, Kansas City Chiefs still not getting there, and then him just eventually walking it in. If I was a Kansas fan, I would be irate because that was some Gus Bradley arse defense. But what did we think of this game? New manager bounce, Liam Cohen doing the job. He's proving to be a very clever footballing brain and getting the best out of Trevor Lawrence.
So far, he's getting more out of Trevor Lawrence. I still don't think Trevor Lawrence is the Trevor Lawrence again that people thought he was maybe going to be, and they've paid him now as well, so they're tied to him for a while. I was a bit frustrated with this one, to be honest with you, because the Chiefs, I don't want to say the Chiefs beat themselves. If you look at the stats, the Chiefs won pretty much every single thing except the one that really matters, and that was the score. That final touchdown from Trevor Lawrence, like you summed it up perfectly. It was just, he fell over twice and still managed to jump over the line because he's about 12 foot tall and his hair accounts for most of it. Frustrating. But I do think again, Nathan, you made a great point there about the Texans defense. I think the Jags lead the league in takeaways this year in terms of interceptions and recoveries. So I think their defense is sort of being sneaky good as well, to be honest with you. I know Liam Cohen is an offensive-minded coach. He seems to be getting, like you say, a tune out of Trevor at the moment. Travis Hunter has looked okay. Brian Thomas Jr. looks like he's remembered that it is a contact sport and has put himself out there again. But yeah, this is one of those games that you look at. If I'm a Chiefs fan, I'm looking at this thinking I don't really know how we lost this one, to be honest with you. Very, very frustrating as a Colts fan that they did. I can't believe we're saying that. Can you?
And I mean, I think it's good to focus on the Jags defense. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the news today, but the Jags worked on another trade with the Cleveland Browns and sent, I think it's Trey Hunter, to the Browns and received Greg Newsome back, who I was really high on coming out of college. Greg Newsome, I think he's sort of reached the heights that maybe I thought he would, which shows that I know fuck all about college football. But interesting that he's come into the division. I think it's really interesting that in the space of like 5 months, the Jags and the Browns have made 2 trades. You just don't really hear that often. And the Jags sent a player who was on like a $76 million contract with like 56 million of that guaranteed. So Cleveland must be, really fancying that, and that's honestly why I think people have presumed that Denzel Ward's on the block too, because he's on a huge deal, if I remember rightly, and rightly so. He's an elite corner in the league. So interesting. But I mean, outside of the game, did you see the video of Cohen crying?
No.
Crying
Please
on
tell me this is
sidelines,
AI.
crying in the changing, in the locker room afterwards. Yeah, really emotional win for Cohen. And yeah, I mean, I remember being pretty high on Cohen and talking to a pal of mine who's a Pats fan, saying that, I really thought that Cohen and Drake May would have been like a match made in heaven. And so far, looks to be going good for old T-Law and Cohen.
I didn't realise he'd cried though. It's a bit over the top, and it's one win.
Yeah, they've not played a real team yet.
Yeah. Oh well, I mean, just on. Sorry, I mean, what does this mean? Kansas City, 5 games. They're 2-3. I think they've got a tough one this weekend as well, haven't they? They're not.
Ed, we all know the 9-8 Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it. Are going to be. It would be probably would be the Jaguars, wouldn't it? No,
they're sitting 2-3 as well, and have scored the most points in their division.
And they're playing the Lions this weekend.
Yeah, that's going to be cinema, honestly.
Jesus, that's not a get right game, is it? The Detroit Lions. That's not a team you want to play when you want to get back on to winning ways.
No.
Or that'd be a good game. I ain't staying up for it, but that'll be worth watching back Monday morning.
Yeah. So let's have a look at the team coming to town. Like we said, it is the Cardinals, led by Jacoby Brissett, the man who walked so Anthony Richardson could run. It's a bit disrespectful to Jacoby. He is a Super Bowl winner. And he's a bit of a Colts cult classic, and he's a bit of a cult player for the Colts. So hard to say. But I think he left gracefully. I don't think anybody has any hard feelings towards Jacoby. And he is, by the looks of it, due to injury and other reasons, he's Arizona's only weapon. I don't even know what to say. I was looking through their team going, if this isn't a game for a fourth choice wide receiver for Arizona to get 900 yards and 7
Yeah.
What it is. But
yeah, I think this is the big bogey game opportunity for Indy. I know obviously we're going to sway Indy for like 40 reasons, but this is the one that could get away. You know, this is a team that's sitting 2-3, I believe. You know, they've had some close games, they've had some kind of shootout-y style games. And yeah, how can you not like Jacoby Brissett, right? He was Ballard's answer to Luck retiring. I remember that period and that season so fondly because that was the beginning of the heartbreak, really, wasn't it? But yeah, I'm really interested to see how our defense can contain their offense. I think Ed hit, you know, out of the park earlier when he spoke about the kind of lack of run game threat that the Cardinals bring. We look at DeMarcado. Is he really going to get the ball this week? I highly doubt it. He only had it 3 times last week, and the dude busts an 80-yard run. But I just can't see him getting the ball in his hand. I know they've got a second-year player, haven't they, at back as well, who hasn't really done much in his short time in the league.
Trey Benson?
It is Trey Benson, yeah. That name was eluding me, so thank you so much. Yeah, I just really want, like, this is kind of like the perfect opportunity for a hot defense, right? No run game, a backup quarterback. Like, let's see if we can contain this pass game, and hopefully players like Latu and Buck can just take over. That's kind of how I want to open the discussion.
Yeah, so I would say, if I'm being real, I think, and if I'm trying to be fair and balanced and not just because this smells like a trap game. But I would say I'm more concerned that they're playing Jacoby Brissett than if they was playing Kyler Murray. Because I think with this defense, I think Kyler Murray, if you be brave and go aggressive against Junior put Ward on Junior and, you know, maybe cheat a little bit and roll Bynum up. And you have Kenny there as a bit of a not a full QB spy, but a little bit of a QB spy. I would be really surprised to see him get anything. With the injuries they got, that's the caveat. Like we say, they've got no run game, but with Jacoby there, he's a good, serviceable quarterback who I can think can dink and dunk. And people forget this as well. He can use his legs. I think the difference is it's a bit like, I'm trying to think of a way to compare it, so I just sound like I'm talking in circles here, but I think it was Mike Tomlin who said after playing the Colts that he wanted Anthony Richardson to stay in the game.
Yes,
I can't remember who came in. Was it Minshew who came in?
Flacco.
Flacco.
He didn't want to play against Flacco.
Yeah, and I think that's sort of like, I think that's true in a sense. Like, you would rather play the more skittish, more unpredictable quarterback because you roll Murray out the pocket. He tries throwing it deep because that's what he's going to do every time because he's panicking because he gets about 1 second to hold the ball because of his terrible offensive line. And Cam Bynum's going to be having 6 interceptions. Sure, I mean, like, so I'm a bit like, this smells like a bit of a trap game. I'm not trying to get too excited. Let's just be professional and hopefully we win. But that is just previous scars coming back to haunt, I think.
Ed? Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying. I'm less concerned about the quarterback. I know there's a thing with Jacoby coming back, and there's an element of it's like your ex coming back to haunt you, kind of. And I think as Colts fans, that's the fear, isn't it? Jacoby goes off, and Junior has the best game of his career, and the two roll into town and completely derail our unbelievable starts to the year. And I get that. That's the storyline. I'm more interested, much more interested, I think. Not much more interested, but I'm interested to see our offense go against their defense on the basis that obviously Steichen and Gannon were together at Philly, weren't they, as coordinators? So they would have played against each other countless times in practice. Our offense has been brilliant this year, and Steichen, for all his faults, and although he's been brilliant this year, he does still have his faults. Usually when he opens his gob in the media. But he is a brilliant offensive play caller. But I wonder, my concern would be, does he try and get too cute and too clever and try and second guess himself because he's going to think Jonathan Gannon kind of knows his style and knows his game? Do you see what I'm saying? And then I start worrying because when Steichen starts overthinking things, that's when things tend to go wrong. Like our offense has been it's been working brilliantly, but it's been quite sort of not vanilla, but you know what I mean, quite straightforward. It's been quite efficient so far this year, and I just worry if he starts getting too like, oh, he's overthinking things, that things could go wrong. So that would be my biggest concern with this game. It is a trap game because the Colts should win this game. That's not me saying that. That's being objective as well as being a fan. If you look at it objectively, the Colts at home against a Cardinals team that just lost the way they did to the Tennessee Titans, even if they'd won that game, I'd still say the Colts should win this game because they're a better football team. If the Colts play the football they've been playing all year, we'll be fine. If the Colts start panicking like they did against the Rams in that first quarter, then I think we're going to have problems.
And I think I want to just quickly jump back to a point Harrison said, and that was, the fact that we quite literally dismantled the Raiders, and that's always what great teams do. They beat the good teams and they destroy the bad ones. And I think this game it'll be fascinating to see the media reaction if we destroy Arizona on the weekend, because then it's like, oh, the Colts are 5-1 and have only lost to the Rams and are destroying every team in kind of that's coming in front of them. So I just think that was a really good point, and maybe one that was needed to be repeated.
And I think because you said it right, the Rams didn't beat us. We lost to the Rams. There's a big difference when you say them things. Like, if the Rams had absolutely put us in our place and it was like a blowout 30-10 game, I'd go, okay, maybe we're just getting a bit of an easy ride at the start of the season. But we all know the reason we didn't win that game. It doesn't need to be rehashed every time we talk about it. But just for me, I think Ed nailed it for me. Just keep it simple. I think you roll your defense up, you cheat a little bit, you go aggressive on Marvin Harrison Jr., You tell Zaire Franklin, you just stick with Trey McBride. As soon as his hands touch that ball, you flatten him. Latu, JTT, Quitty, the defensive line, get after him. Get after Jacoby, because Jacoby is not Kyler Murray. As soon as Kyler Murray sees a gap, he's going to go. Jacoby's going to try and make a play through the air. As Colts fans can allude to, he was sort of, when you needed when you needed 3 yards, he'd get 1. When you needed 7, he'd get 11. Like, that was how I described his time in Indy. And I think if we just, we just try and keep him in there. I think keep it simple, be professional, and you will win the game.
What do you think? I was just going to say the flip side. Because I think just going back to your point, Nathan, I agree with you there as well, Harrison. By the way, but your point there, Nathan, right? If the Colts are 5-1, people are going to start talking. Do you think the flip side, the inverse, is also true? That if the Colts do slip up in this game, do you feel like the articles are in people's drafts ready to go? Like, I knew this team wasn't for real. Like, we knew this was.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? Like that's the flip, isn't it? I suppose people are still very skeptical about this Colts team.
100%.
Yeah, and it wouldn't matter how we lost, and it won't matter how we win. Them articles, like you say, will be written that. I told you I was right about the Colts, says media presenter who claimed the Colts were going 1-16 this year, even though we've already won 4 games. Like that, it's just the way it works, mate. Before we get on to score predictions, then for Sunday, there is some important housekeeping and people to welcome back. Welcome back, Michael Badgley, the Honey Badger, who is taking over, unfortunately, for poor Spencer Schrader, who just can't seem to catch a break. Just honestly, if you've ever seen bad luck, look at Spencer Schrader, man, because he's a phenomenal kicker. And the best thing I could say is he's young, quicker recovery time. The Colts are definitely going to keep him on. Welcome, Michael Badgley. And I think with this offense, all you need is a Michael Badgley. And I don't say that disrespectfully. And also welcome in our new linebacker. I've been dying for a new linebacker to come in and beef up the middle of the field. Jermaine Pratt. Sorry. Who I was really impressed with his interview. I think it was just a locker room interview because he'd probably only just flown here. But he seemed really up for it, really keen, and obviously reuniting with Lou and Arumo. So did any of you want to talk about them 2 signings before we go score predictions?
I don't necessarily want to say anything on the signings, apart from obviously wish them luck and glad that they're both on board. I just want to, like you, with the condolences to Spencer Schrader, not that he's probably ever going to see this, but I just feel sorry for the guy. He's had a brilliant start to the year, and he's ACL and MCL, and that's a rough injury for anybody, any sportsman. I was impressed he walked off the field with it, to be honest with you. Yeah. So yeah, just hope that he gets better.
I've had to take my AirPods out. Is my audio too loud right now? Or am I good? Am I good? We can cut that out, right? We'll cut that out in post-production because we're that technical. One thing I want to say that hasn't been said is kind of something I alluded to on Monday night show, is like this is just another example of this weird change of pace for Chris Ballard. Like the linebackers have been poor, he goes and gets us a linebacker. Like it's refreshing, and hopefully it results in Trey Hendrickson. But it's definitely right to welcome him in, and I have nothing else to say that hasn't been said. I'm a big fan of Badgley. I think he's a good kicker. I was actually quite sad that we let him go 3 years ago when we did.
Well,
so
I'm surprised because he lost a job to Chase
McLaughlin, yeah.
Who we paid an extortionate amount, who was God knows what dirt he had on Chris Ballard to get that payday, but he had some because it wasn't the one. But obviously, like we say, best of luck to the new signings, and hopefully they can make an impact this Sunday. So we're rounding out to an hour now, so just everyone watching, everyone listening, thank you for watching and listening and continuing to do so. It shows in our stats. It's truly amazing to see. We're going to go score predictions now and obviously jinx the game. So who wants to go first?
Me.
Go on then.
Colts win 28-10.
Simple, easy, like it.
I think we're going to score over 30 again, but I'm going.
Yes, I like it. Go on, Ed. Say it with your chest.
The Colts 31. The Cards 10.
Love it. And like I say, thanks to everyone for watching. And you know me, you know what I'm going to say. Join us on Monday after the Colts 50, the Arizona Cardinals 3.